Some people may disagree with me in the comments, but it is what it is. I'm going to say it. Because the men, actually, multiple men have told me this. The only people who actually care about you having your stuff together, you getting all these degrees and you getting this bad girl, is you. Just you. Because a real man, which y'all consider to be providers, don't care. They don't care about how many degrees you have. They don't care about how much money you have in the bank. They care about you being a feminine woman that treats them good and that knows how to do traditional things inside the household. That's why so many of y'all be running rabbit, confused as to why that man cheated on you with a girl who you feel like was less than. Well, baby, it had nothing to do with her bank account. It had nothing to do with her education. It had everything to do with how she made him feel. Yeah.
So let me ask you a question. Let me real fast, quick. Will, I think that the thing is, just because you want to, because if you won $1 million or the lottery, you would choose probably not to work too. It's just a fantasy. Oh, it would be great not to work.
Oh, we're talking about fantasy.
So what I'm saying, that's what she's saying.
We can live in that.
She clearly just said, it's about her age. It's about where she is. She said, I don't want to work. She said, but luckily she's about to retire. She never said, I don't want to contribute to the household. I mean, anybody can be in la land and say, okay, if you say ideally, what do you want? Ideally, your ass don't want to work either, I'm sure.
Opinion. Our fathers, grandfathers, uncles, they were not better providers than men are today. They just lived in a time where life was a lot easier. And I'm going to break this down because I hate to see people comparing the two without giving context. So for context, in 1990, the average mortgage payment in America was $650. Today, the average monthly mortgage payment is $2,500. That's almost a 4x. The average rent price in America in 1990, it was $370. The average rent price today is $2,000. That's a 5x. The average home price in 1990 was $120,000. The average home price today is $420,000. That's 3.5 times more. The average car payment with insurance in 1990 was $230. The average car payment with insurance today is $730. That's a 3x. Meanwhile, the average income in 1990 was $30,000. Today, the average income is $55,000. That's not even a 2x. It hasn't even the average income hasn't even doubled, and that's in 35 years. In 1990, on average, people were paid $2,500 a month. Today, the average person gets around $4,200 a month. So once again, that number hasn't even doubled. The average minimum wage in 1990 was $4. The average minimum wage today is $7.25. Once again, it hasn't doubled. So comparing somebody today to somebody in the past is like comparing to someone playing a video game on Hall of Fame to somebody that's playing the game on easy mode with the sliders up. So there's really no comparison, but people, they really lack understanding of this basic thing. And I know a lot of people, they're going to say, well, they just need to leave their jobs, find better jobs, and make more money. And I agree with that largely. I do think people need to up their skill sets so they could be better and bigger earners. At the same time, people say those things without understanding how the economy and how ecosystems work. These jobs that people down talk and consider low wages, these jobs are what makes the country go round. How you get your food, the clothes that's on your back, the building you live in, the people that's teaching your kids, the cars we drive in. All these things are ran and functioned by people that don't make a lot of money. So if these people quit and left these careers and chase to make more money, the whole economy in the world would shut down immediately. So we need people in these positions in career fields, which is why it never makes sense to me when I see people down talk people that actually do these jobs. They make the world go round. So again, you can't compare somebody like that to your father, grandfather, or uncle that was living in the past. But also, and this is probably the biggest point, and if you're going to compare people from the past to today, this should be the point that y'all bring up. It's that people understood where they were in life and where they were on a social, economic ladder, and they desired and wanted things that were according to where they were in life. Meaning back in the day, you didn't see people who were teachers, factory workers, telemarketers, with Louis Vuitton bags, going to Turks and Caicos, driving BMWs. You didn't see people like that with those things, and nor did they want them. because they understood where they were economically. And there wasn't any social media back then, so they didn't care to impress people. They understood those things were for the rich and wealthy. And nowadays, you have people who don't even make 60, 70,000 annually that want and desire and need to have all these things. And men who aren't making enough feel like they need to get them or they aren't providing properly. So you have this weird dichotomy and everything is off balance simply because people are not putting things into context. And this isn't me making excuses for people, because I know oftentimes people will hear something like this and they'll say, oh, you're just making excuses for people. That's not what I'm doing at all. I'm just putting things in their proper context, because I know this is social media and everybody loves sensationalism, but that's just childish. And what's the point of having a real adult conversation if you're not going to put things into their proper context? So at the end of the day, what I am saying, though, is give people grace. Stop expecting people to have things overnight. Stop comparing people to other people. Be willing to build with someone. Because if you're not willing to do those things, you're going to stay in a state of struggle. Because you're expecting things that just aren't reality when it comes to the majority.
Hold on, y'all. So let's put this on the record then, since we got all the ladies here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's put this on the record then. So if that is the case, if any woman who considers herself independent and alpha female or whatever in her youth, and she's saying, I'm getting to the bag, I'm doing all of this, and one day she says, I expect a man to take on the responsibility of all the bills and all the household, and I want to sit down, I don't want to have to work anymore. Would y'all be willing to go on the record to tell her, lady, you are a damn fool?
Yes, I would say that she's a fool. Because no, you don't switch up like that halfway through your life. If you went over here and said you was going to get the bag, you was going to get the money, you was going to get the career, and then you look silly trying to, like, what? Like, no.
Ari, you gonna call her a damn fool for us?
I would.
I'd
be like,
I think this is a hypothetical.
She had early on.
It's a hypothetical.
Then no, she's not a fool. If that was something that she had a conversation with her partner early on, and that was okay.
No, let's not. No, she don't have a partner. She don't have a partner. She's coming out and make it. Say, for instance, she's on the dating market, and she says, "I require." We're talking about a single woman that's been working for half her life, and now she says, coming into it, I expect the man to come in and pay all the bills because I'm not gonna be working. I should never have to touch a bill if I'm in a relationship. I get that, but we hear women say this. I'm just asking, would y'all be willing to go on the record if y'all ever saw a woman say that and say, lady, you are a damn fool?
No, I wouldn't. Somebody out there is going to do it.
Because of sister code? Is it because of the code?
No, I just feel like, once again, it goes back to men are providers, they are leaders. So it will be somebody out there that's willing to take care of her. So I'm not gonna feel like
my cousin Juicy did that.
I think Crayola made some important statement. If you're saying that men are providers and leaders, and then he made a case earlier, the terms we present for you early on to keep you from starting your independent journey, it's not an option for you. How does that mean that we're leaders and providers if you the terms that we present under our leadership is not even in the cards for you, or not even the option for you to stand under? That means we're only leaders when you burn out. Because I would argue that our terms are still the same from when you're 35 and you opt out of work. Or are you saying men are changing their terms from the time that they invited you on board before you started working?
I feel like you pick who you want to lead you. That's what I feel like, honestly speaking. So I'm only going to pick who I feel like is going to actually be able to lead me. We didn't say all men are leaders.
What is the picking process? Are you evaluating the terms they present?
Yes.
So that's what I'm saying. So when Will initial statement, the terms that we require you to adhere to for us to keep you at home and be a sole provider, you get to choose whether you like those terms or not.
Okay.
Our leadership is contingent upon whether you like the terms. That's true, right? So your submission
To a
is
certain degree.
conditional, right?
To a certain degree.
Okay. I'm just trying to understand.
Let's get Ari in there.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm just trying to understand y'all minds. That's all.
So on the one hand, I think these hypotheticals are not necessarily realistic. I mean, I was married for 10 years. I know a lot of married and formerly married women. And I don't know a single one of them that decided by herself to be a stay-at-home mom or a stay-at-home caregiver, right? Like that's a conversation between the couple. So it's not as though someone can just like force your hand to, you know what I mean? Like if you're dating and somebody says, "Hey, I want to be a caregiver," instead of going to a corporate office, and that's not interesting to you or that doesn't appeal to you, then you don't have to date that person. And so I think like having an upfront conversation, like this is what I'm hoping my life looks like, which isn't me, by the way, but I feel like that's actually kind of an honest way to go about things. This whole conversation, though, there is a lot of talk about transactional relationships where, you know, one person has to give this and the other person, like, you got to give your body and you got to give your money and you, right? Like, it's so transactional. And even the idea of having a person that has to be dominant between a couple, it's to be honest, it's kind of in my mind all predicated on eating up this colonialist idea hook, line, and sinker, right? Like if you look through history and you're looking for, like you were saying, like if there was no rule of law, then men would X, Y, and Z. Well, if you look through history, you've got like the Iroquois Confederacy in the United States that the Constitution was actually partially built on, and they were matrilineal. If you look at West Africa, like I believe it was the Mosi Kingdom, and that was in Ghana, and then Nubia, that's in Sudan. Both of those matrilineal, and they were very much based on this egalitarian and equality type idea. So when you take the Eurocentric colonialist idea of owning a person, dominating a person, being better than a person or above a person, instead of working together in partnership, to me that doesn't come from a good era in history, and it doesn't come from a good society in history. And I think the whole idea is kind of,
so where did the good society in history get its principle from? Because I would argue that the ownership dynamic came from the Bible. And if you say
the Bible, okay,
society,
King James Bible,
I said, yeah, from God.
So Europe
order, right? So that's what I'm saying. Like, and you say that
it's a Eurocentric idea, the idea that you can dominate a person, that you can own a person, right? And you have to buy into that idea to not feel like you're having an equal partnership between people. Now, that's not to say don't respect men, obviously, right? Like, respect men, respect women. You shouldn't be with somebody that you don't respect.
So what came first, Eurocentric or God's order?
I wasn't raised Christian, so I'm not the right person to ask.
I don't think you got to be raised Christian.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to be raised. You don't have to. I don't have to study ants to know that they make ant beds. And I'm just saying, you don't have to be raised Christian to know whether or not God's order or.
I do not believe that the Creator. I do not believe that God made one half of our population, you know, dominant or better or above another.
Okay,
no,
got it.
I don't think that's true.